Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and restless, shocker, Mariah's disturbing secret exposed. Plus, why Cole has two die. Young and Restless has three main storylines running at the moment: Cole's illness, Mariah's secret, and Dumas' party. Let's take a look at what's happened and what's coming up. Dumas' party. As the guest list expands, so does the potential for drama at Aristotle Dumas' private party in France. If the mystery mogul puts something in the water, any number of soapy scandals could unfold. Sally might catch Billy in a compromising position with Phyllis, or it could be Nick caught canoodling with his ex, by his other ex. If Audra's successful in turning Kyle's head, the abbot may have to stay overseas thanks to his contract with Victor. I honestly couldn't care less about Dumas' business ambitions, but there's little doubt we'll have to hear all about them. In the meantime, who else will manage to snag an invite? Perhaps Adam and Nate, who both feel snubbed. Adam could go in Victoria's place and Nate could be Damien's +1. Bottom line, all signs point to bad things happening at this bash. Find out why we think the party is an ambush here. Cole's illness. Cole's debilitating illness can also be tied to Aristotle Dumas, or at least his arrival on the Genoa city scene. How? It's simple. Cole has to die so that Victoria's available to be Dumas' love interest. You've probably been thinking that if Aristotle is Cain, it would be Lily who would be drawn back toward her ex-husband. But there are reasons. She divorced him, the major one being that he kissed Victoria more than once, whilst she was behind bars. The writers seem to be doing Lily, Damien, so a Cain-Victoria pairing is very much a probability, especially if he's the one she leans on in her grief. On the other hand, there's still an outside chance that Dumas is someone other than Cain, but he'd still be a potential love interest for Victor's daughter. While it's sad to see Cole on his last legs, I can't help but be amused by him dying of man's stubbornness. Anyway, his rekindled romance with Victoria was snooze city, and Claire needs some real angst, aside from the manufactured Victor-centric mess. So it's time for him to go. Mariah's murderous secret. Did anyone else get so creeped out when Mariah flashed to that elderly man approaching her in the hotel bar? Egad, that's a harbinger of horror if I ever saw one. It instantly became clear that her secret is far more disturbing than cheating on Tessa. In fact, it's probably downright murderous. The way Mariah keeps mentioning Ian Ward tells me he's tied into this somehow, but perhaps not literally. What if this creepy man tried something with Mariah, and in her drunken state, she came to believe he was Ian, and killed him? That's where I see this heading, folks, especially after seeing the promo with Mariah telling Tessa it wasn't safe to come clean with her. She doesn't want to make her an accessory after the fact. The opinions expressed are my own. Please feel free to join the conversation by sharing your thoughts on this week's Young and Restless in the comments. If you thought Genoa City was done with devastating secrets and explosive betrayals, the Young and the Restless just proved that it's only getting started. In a week that left fans speechless, Mariah Copeland found herself cornered by the consequences of a long-buried truth, one that could destroy the life she's built with Tessa and send ripples through the Newman family tree. And just when viewers thought things couldn't get any darker, a second bombshell began brewing. Cole Howard's mysterious illness may not just be a medical emergency. It may be the beginning of a carefully plotted end, because if recent developments are any indication, Cole has to die. What could force such a tragic twist? What secret was Mariah keeping, and how are the two plotlines unexpectedly, and perhaps fatally, intertwined? Let's dive into the firestorm that's redefining Genoa City's future. Mariah's secret, a nightmare buried in the past 4 months. Viewers noticed Mariah acting out of character, restless, guarded, defensive, those long glances of guilt, the sudden mood shifts whenever someone brought up the past. It wasn't just stress. Something was gnawing at her. And this week, it finally erupted into daylight. When Tessa innocently asked about a mysterious bank transfer, a sizable amount sent to an unlisted account months ago, Mariah froze. Her attempt to cover it up fell apart fast. And what followed was a confession that left Tessa and the audience reeling. Years ago, before she fully rebuilt her life and identity in Genoa City, Mariah had been involved in something dark, something criminal, and something that, until now, she believed would never surface again. The full scope of the crime hasn't been revealed. Yet a clever choice on the writer's part, but what we do know is this: someone was paid off to disappear, and that someone may be back. The fallout begins. Tessa's reaction was both heartbreaking and furious. For a couple that has weathered everything from trauma to surrogacy struggles, this kind of lie cut especially deep. "You told me we built this life on trust," she snapped. "But you were hiding a landmine the whole time." Mariah, devastated, tried to explain that she was scared, not of the consequences to herself, but of losing Tessa and Aria. "I didn't know how to tell you," she said. "It wasn't supposed to matter anymore. I buried it. I buried her." Could the person Mariah paid off be someone from her cult days? A lost relative? An ex who knew too much? The ambiguity has only fueled fan speculation, with some viewers theorizing that the woman in question might be linked to Ian Ward's old circle, or worse, could be someone with ties to the Newmans. Either way, this secret isn't staying buried. And now that Tessa knows, Mariah's world is unraveling fast. Enter Claire, an unlikely ally. In a twist no one saw coming, Claire Grace found herself in the crosshairs of the secret, and potentially salvation. After overhearing a tense conversation between Mariah and Tessa at Crimson Lights, Claire confronted Mariah directly, and surprisingly, she didn't judge her. "Sometimes we do terrible things to survive," Claire said, her voice quiet but resolute. "I would know." Their bond, forged in pain, guilt, and redemption, could become one of the show's most compelling new dynamics, but it also may drag Claire deeper into Newman family dysfunction. Because what Mariah knows could change everything. And this brings us to the other ticking time bomb of the week. Cole Howard. Why Cole has to die? Let's state the obvious. Cole's return has been emotionally rich, long overdue, and dramatically potent. But with so many threads converging, his reunion with Victoria, his complicated connection to Claire, and the recent signs of a mysterious illness, there's only one logical conclusion: Cole has to die. Not because fans don't love him, they do. Not because the actor isn't delivering, he is. But because narratively, his death unlocks several massive payoffs, and without it, the stakes simply don't reach their full dramatic potential. The emotional earthquake of Claire has just begun to form a fragile identity outside of Jordan's manipulation. She's bonded with Victoria, taken tentative steps toward becoming part of the Newman family, and slowly begun to heal. Losing Cole now, just as she's come to understand who he is, would be the ultimate test. A redemption arc isn't complete until it's forged in fire. And for Claire, that fire may come in the form of grief. Imagine Claire at Cole's bedside, begging him not to go. Imagine her blaming herself, convinced that her past sins summoned tragedy. Imagine her breaking, then rising again. That's the kind of emotional crucible Y&R specializes in. Victoria's reckoning. Victoria Newman has spent the better part of her adult life wrapped in cold armor. But Cole's return brought back a version of her that felt real again. Open, soft, even hopeful. If he dies, she won't just lose a former lover, she'll lose the only person who ever truly challenged her without trying to control her. And perhaps more crucially, it would force Victoria to confront her own limits as a mother, a daughter, and a woman who's tried too hard for too long to be bulletproof. The bigger picture: Mariah, the secret, and the trigger. Here's where it gets interesting. What if Cole's illness isn't entirely natural? Mariah's secret, if exposed, may be tied to something larger. A person, a conspiracy, or a revenge plot that's unfolding quietly in the shadows. If Cole's collapse wasn't random, if someone targeted him as a warning, then Mariah's past may be more relevant than anyone realizes. Could Mariah's ghost from the past be using Cole as leverage? Could this be part of a master plan that intersects with Newman affairs? There's precedent. This is, after all, a show where Victor once faked a fatal illness to teach his children a lesson. Could Tessa be in danger? Now that she knows the truth, Tessa may become a target herself, especially if she starts poking around. And Mariah's desperation to keep her family safe could lead to another deception, maybe even a crime of her own. If Tessa's life is threatened, how far would Mariah go to protect her? Could she be pushed to take the fall for a crime she didn't commit, to protect the woman she loves? The path forward: redemption, revenge, or ruin? Let's not forget what soap operas do best: transform love into sacrifice, and sacrifice into legacy. Cole's potential death is not just a plot device, it's a catalyst. It forces the Newman family to reckon with who they are. It shifts Claire's narrative from broken pawn to full-fledged phoenix.